In our second lecture on information literacy, we discuss evaluating information sources. There is an incredible amount of information on the internet, but there is also an enormous amount of garbage, half-truths, exaggerations, quotations taken out of context, and outright lies, many of which are due to ignorance and many others due to the malicious intentions of their authors. And it's not difficult to figure out why. There is literally nothing stopping anyone from writing anything they want and finding a place to post it on the internet. My personal favorite was a claim that becoming a lawyer costs the new lawyer his or her American citizenship. Why? Lawyers usually use the suffix ESQ, short for Esquire, after their name. The writer claimed that this is a foreign title of nobility, which the Constitution prohibits American citizens from taking. Becoming a lawyer and accepting that foreign title of nobility, of Esquire, cost the new lawyer his American citizenship. The only problem is that almost everything in that claim is false. Esquire is a courtesy title used by British landowners to indicate their upper-class status. It is not a title of nobility. The American legal profession uses it to indicate their membership in the profession. The Constitution bars the federal government and state governments from granting titles of nobility, and it only bars government officials from accepting them from foreign nations. This article, thankfully, does not seem to still be on the internet. There is no master fact checker for the internet, and search engines may rank pages based on popularity and relevance, but doesn't rate them based on accuracy. If you are looking for facts, you need to find something written by someone who has authority on that topic. Authority refers to the ability of the author to speak knowledgeably about a given subject. Lawyers and doctors can speak on the law and on medicine respectively because of their education and professional experience. This is how people most commonly gain the necessary expertise in a given field to speak or write about it with authority. But it is difficult to determine if an author has this kind of authority unless you either know the author personally or have been able to research his or her background. Because of the editorial control of traditional sources such as books, magazines, journals, and newspapers, it is a lot easier to judge the authority of these types of sources. Articles that appear in peer-reviewed scholarly journals, where experts in the field evaluate them, are generally considered reliable. This is usually the case with trade publishers such as textbook publishers. Corporate educational and government websites may not have authors listed for their context, but are usually trustworthy. If you can find the name of the author of a web page, that may lead to information about him or her, and hopefully that will include his or her work experience and educational credentials. This can allow you to determine if the author is a reliable source on a given topic. In other cases, you may need to search further and check other sources, such as a library database, to see what the author has published and where has it appeared. If you are looking for information about a website, examining the domain name can help. If the name ends with edu, it is an educational institution. This may not always guarantee reliability, but it increases the odds greatly. If you want to write on a current topic, you may need to have current information. The problem is that in many cases, the materials that you find in books and periodicals may be 6 months to a year older than the copyright date may indicate, because of the time it takes to research the topic and then for it to go through review. Periodicals are usually more current than what you find in books, and daily newspapers will be more current than magazines or journal articles. The problem with information on the World Wide Web is that it is frequently difficult or nearly impossible to be sure how old it is. If you're lucky, there will be a date of last revision on a web page, but that revision may have more to do with the redesign of the web page's appearance and less to do with the actual content. And remember, just because it's on the web doesn't mean it is any more recent than what you find in newspapers or magazines. Bias is a big problem. It can be very difficult sometimes if the bias is subtle to detect it, and even when you can detect it, it can be difficult to judge whether the information is accurate or not despite that. Domain names can sometimes help. If a domain name contains .com, it is possible that they are trying to encourage you to buy their products. Nonprofit organizations have domain names that contain .org, but sometimes their content is designed to solicit a contribution. Frequently, the website owner is not a business seeking customers or a charity seeking donations, yet the content may still have a bias. They may be pushing a political point of view, and it is entirely possible that their material may be less than objective, because they have an axe to grind, and they want to win you over to their point of view. Spotting bias is not always easy. A resource like CQ Press Researcher can help you determine what is fact, what is fiction, and what is opinion. When we are trying to determine the accuracy of a source, we need to evaluate the source and its author. Look at the websites that an information source is linked to. Are these credible and unbiased? Look at the author's bibliography. Are his or her cited sources reputable publications? Google's advanced search tool has page-specific tools that can show if there are similar pages that are credible. This can help determine which websites are accurate. There is a test that we can use to evaluate materials that we are looking to make use of. It's called the CRAAP Test, which is a mnemonic. CRAAP stands for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, purpose. Currency. Is the information on the page timely, or is it too old to be useful? Relevance or coverage. How important is this information, and does it deal directly with the topic that we are researching? Authority. Is the source of the information authoritative? Accuracy. Is the information reliable? Purpose or objectivity. Is there possible bias in this? Is the information current? Obviously, if the page has a listed date of last revision, This can give you a less than perfect idea of the age of the information. But look at the links as well. If they are no longer functional, if you cannot connect to these pages, the page that you are looking at may be too old. Vegan Source is too old, but the New York Times is another story. How deep is the coverage of the information? Who is the intended audience? Are there better sources? The 2 pages shown here are intended for children. If the researcher wants material for a better educated and presumably older audience, these might not be appropriate. Do you know who wrote this? Can you tell from an examination of the page? Is the owner reputable? Does he or she have credentials that are relevant to the topic? The White House's webpage, whitehouse.gov, may not be that authoritative given the clear political bias that may exist. Python.org/Guido is a personal webpage, and while Guido van Rossum is authoritative when speaking about programming in the Python language, that may not be true about other topics. If you are looking for information on software development, you would have a hard time finding a more authoritative source than Fred Brooks, but possibly not on other topics. If you want to figure out if a source is accurate, there are a few things that you can check. Are there citations? Are these sources reputable? Are there spelling, grammatical, or typographical errors? This speaks again about the accuracy of the information. The page listed is inaccurate. A detailed look would tell you why. Why did the author put this page on the web? Was he or she looking to share information? Were they looking to influence the reader to see his or her point of view? If so, there is possible bias, and the page must be read much more carefully. And sometimes, if it is a corporate web page, there may very well be a conflict of interest. These 3 pages you see listed here all give examples of that.